I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Beer to Whiskey. Today I'm in Houston, Texas. I'm sort of on a road trip, and I'm really excited because there are a lot more craft breweries in Houston than what I ever really imagined. It was kind of tough to narrow it down to the 3 or 4 that I'm actually going to get to visit with and drink some of their beer. And I'm here with Jeff Handojo, who is one of the owners, and Jeff, give us the address. Where are we exactly?
Here in Houston, Texas, north side of Houston, Texas. Address is 6820 Bourgeois Road, Houston, Texas, 77066.
It's, probably 15 miles north of Houston proper.
Yes, sir.
So you got to really want to come here. But once you get here, the beer is well worth it.
Thank you, thank you.
Jeff, tell me a little bit about the brewer. Where did the 11 Below Brewing come from?
Sure, great question. Now, a lot of times folks will come in and ask us about the history, and they assume when they see 11 Below, they think that's some sort of temperature connotation. And I jokingly tell them, well, no, that's below zero, that will be ice. So we don't brew that way. If you can see the flags in the background, I've got Texas A&M Aggies, Houston Cougars, and Texas Longhorns. Those are the 3 founders. I'm the guy in the middle. I'm the Houston Cougar. My partner is the Aggie and the Longhorn. 3 guys, we all have oil and gas backgrounds. So we come from a world that a barrel of crude oil is 42 gallons all day, and this is the way it was.
Right.
For whatever reason, we get down to brewing, a barrel was only 31 gallons. So as we left oil and gas and then came to brewing, a barrel for us went from 42 to 31 gallons. It's 11 below our former lives. So it's a good little homage and just kind of a, hey guys, a little shout out to that industry which we all came from.
Sure. And what are your partners' names?
So the Aggie is Brandon Moss, and then the Longhorn is Bryce Baker.
And how did the 3 of you find each other?
Yeah, it's funny. Brandon and I actually went to high school together. So if anybody's familiar here from Houston, we went to Cypher High School, who actually, Russ just won the 2017 6A Division II Football State Championship.
Oh.
Yeah, a little trivia there.
Well, and high school football is a big deal in Texas,
It is pretty much a religion here, yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir. So good on that. So Brandon and I went to high school together. We kind of got more friends in college. Built a friendship in college. Bryce and Brandon used to work together, and serendipitously we all wound up living within about a mile radius of each other. And weekends, 3 guys that shared a love of home brewing, weekends turned into 3 guys in the driveway with three brew kettles. Kids are in the pool swimming, we're smoking a brisket and having fun, and one thing led to another. And I don't want to say that it was like that, but we can talk about that here in a little bit. Yeah.
Do you consider 11 Below to have some specialty beer? Are you guys kind of all over the map, or?
It's the one thing that we always find is, and I like what you commented earlier about how you were surprised at how many breweries there are in Houston. We opened our doors in 2015, and we were the 15th brewery here in Greater Houston.
Wow.
As of right now, there are 36. So in a span of less than 2 years, we've over doubled basically the number of breweries in Houston, and there are over 20 in planning. So within the next year or so, we can go from 36 to almost 70. 60 pretty quickly. As for our beers, our approach has always been try to find full flavored beers that are sessionable, easy to drink, and that will be your core. And then from there, try to expand out. And we'll get into this big boy here in a second.
Yeah.
But what people tend to, sometimes if you're not from Texas, it's hot here. Very hot, very sticky, very wet. And I love big beer as much as anybody else does, but I'm not drinking 12 of them.
Right.
It's not outside.
Right.
So we try to fit our products more toward the market, at least for the core beers, the ones that are in cans, and then release some fun things, some seasonals, which then
sure.
The beer nerds and the guys that like to have the big 9, 10, 11% bombs, they can enjoy those too.
Yeah. Do all of you share in the brewing? Or is there one of you?
No. Great question. When we started our business plan, keep in mind we business planned for almost 4 years before we opened the doors. And again, we're all experienced homebrewers, and part of the original plan was for one of us to take on the role of the brewmaster here. And as part of our due diligence of doing the business plan, we went around the nation. Sounds like what you're doing as well, talking to other breweries or brewers, and say, hey guys, what kind of advice can you give, folks that are chasing a dream? And pretty much every single one of them said, hire a brewer. Hire a brewer, hire a brewer, hire a brewer. And I don't know if it was necessarily a slap to ego, but I think the message was, as a new brewery, especially in a growing market like Houston and frankly Texas is, consistency is going to be your number one friend.
Sure.
And if someone that comes in who knows production systems, it's one thing to brew 10 gallons, it's another thing to brew 1,000 gallons, and then to brew 1,000 gallons consistently.
Yeah.
So now you're getting more into a process, manufacturing, and hire someone that knows what's going on. and it's been a godsend. Keenan Zarling is our brewer. He's a native of Texas, moved to Indiana, worked for Tin Man Brewing, if you're familiar with that brewery, for a while. And we convinced him to come back down to Houston, and he's been our head brewer here.
Do you can everything you make, or the ones that you make year round? Do you
Yes,
can?
sir. Yes, sir. All the annuals that we have, and we have 4, and basically a blonde ale called 7 Iron, an amber called Oso Bueno.
7 Iron.
Yes, sir.
Right here.
We have a pale ale called Lame Duck and a red IPA called Colorblind. Those are our 4 annual beers that we can all those. Anything that, again, we with the Texas market, a lot of folks ask us, why don't you bottle? Well, you can't have bottles at tailgates. You can't have bottles at the river. You can't have bottles at the beach.
Sure.
And with the technology that canning has just progressed it's really come a long way. It made sense. And it's recyclable. It's portable. It makes sense for what we're trying to target here, if you will.
Jeff? What was the beer that grabbed your attention that made you go, wow, I think I'm a craft beer guy. Enough of this Coors. I want to drink.
I grew up, and don't knock me on this one. I grew up drinking Miller Lite. I drink my weight in Miller Lite.
Yeah.
Hey, that was my college beer. Brandon, who again we talked about earlier, was he and I kind of reconnected back in college. He started brewing in college, and we're on a camping trip with the boys' camping trip out somewhere, and he busts out this bomber. Okay, obviously unlabeled, pops it open. He goes, "Drink this, man." I go, "Hey, what is this?" Took a sip, and I think my first reaction was, ugh. But then I think once I got past that, the second reaction was, this is really good, what is it? And he goes, I made this. I go, no way. And that was really the cascade. I mean, it wasn't a production beer. It was his homebrew, and that's obviously a compliment to Brandon. But it opened up the doors to what I think I drink a lot of, and was Fat Tire. And it's always one of my favorite. And I hate to say a gateway beer, but it's an approachable amber.
Sure,
it's really good, good flavor, and it, like anything else, it just opened your doors as to what a beer could be.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun, and then naturally progressed from that to more browns. I stayed malty for a while, and then I think the hot beer that did it for me was the original one from Stone. Oh my gosh, I'm losing the. I'll think of it here in a little bit. But it was one that it was about $16 a 4-pack. I remember that.
Yeah.
But it was really expensive, but it blew me away. It blew me away, and it's embarrassing. I can't remember the name of it here anymore, but. You drink a few and you start to forget.
For me, it was Santa Fe Pale Ale.
Yeah,
There's a brewing company.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time I fell in love with it. The brewer wasn't in Santa Fe. It was in Galisteo, New Mexico, which is a crossroads. It doesn't even deserve the name Crossroads. It was just in a Quonset hut out in the middle of nowhere.
Wow, okay.
And that was the pale ale was the one thing that they bottled, and they went through the government process of getting it labeled and the whole thing.
Sure.
And I'll share this with you just because it's one of my favorite stories. But we went and visited. I was so crazy about it. This was 25 years ago. I was so crazy about it. And my brother-in-law and sister, who live in New Mexico, looked to see where it was and found out where the brewery was, and that they gave tours. So my sister and brother-in-law and a guy that my sister worked with and his girlfriend and I, the 5 of us, went to Galisteo to check out the brewery. Yeah. And it had been raining, and we had to drive down through this muddy little dirt path, and we got down to the Quonset hut, and we're like, this really can't be it. Right? I mean, there's no signage, there's no anything. It's like, this just, if it hadn't been on the mailbox up on the road, we would have never known it. Right. So we get down there, and here's this old guy in bib overalls. He's, got about 8 teeth, and and he says, are you here for the tour? And we're like, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And he says, all righty then. He says, this is where we make the beer. This is where we store the beer. This is where we bottle the beer. Who wants a beer?
You're like, great tour.
And that was the tour.
That was it.
And for the next 3 hours, we sat there and drank. And just like every brewery, they had things that they made that sold right out of the place that they didn't label. But so we were there about 3 hours just drinking free beer. It was the greatest tour of all time.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying that you should pattern your tours after that, but it certainly stuck with me.
No, it's a great story to tell, because I think what you'll see more and more of, especially here in Texas, is we're starting to experience things that most of the other country have the luxury they've already had for a long time.
Right.
Being able to do things where we could sell beer on premises for on-site consumption. 5 years ago, you couldn't do that.
Right.
And that's how new things are. And like you said, it's a renaissance, and it is such a odd thing to see, if you will, especially from the optics of someone that owns a brewery, just to see people that are constantly changing, what their perceptions of beer, what they can be.
Sure.
People will look to match beer, food with beer. It used to be wine wine still is that has a connotation of, hey, I want to really pair these complex flavors. You're starting to see more and more of that with beer, which I think is awesome. It is absolutely awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
But no, I mean, again, it's a blessing. Working in this industry is fantastic. I think you meet some really good people. I mean, you can't beat it.
Is there a beer that you don't make that you would love to try your hand at?
Oh, great question. Great question. I would love for us to do a Pilsner, and it is on the board.
It's on the radar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Pilsners are, I think what people tend to forget, especially people that actually don't brew, they say, hey, well, Pilsners are so light. I mean, it's got to be easy. Actually, no. The lighter the beer, actually, technically, it's the harder the beer to make because you don't have anything to hide any flaws.
Yeah.
And that's not to say stouts are inherently flawed.
Right.
If you whiff on maybe a temperature swing or whatever it is, you need to mispitch on the yeast, you got enough body behind it to kind of get past it. Pilsners? No. I mean, you come straight, or else no one's gonna drink it.
Yeah.
So I would love it. I think, especially in this climate in Texas, I mean, people appreciate just a good, easy drinking, crisp Pilsner. It's thirst quenching. It's fun. They can be made fun, actually.
Oh well. Yeah. So what have you picked out for us to give a shot?
You and I are going to drink one of our specialties here. This is called our Negative Space Imperial Chocolate Milk Stout. Okay. So it is a double stout, so it packs in about 9.5% alcohol. We do brew it with proper lactose in the bowl kettle, and also cocoa powder in the kettle. Once it goes into the fermenter, obviously like any other beer, it ferments. Once it's done fermenting, we dry hop it, if you will, or age it on cocoa nibs, cinnamon sticks, and fresh ancho chilies. Sorry, dried ancho chilies, not fresh ancho. Dried ancho chilies. Okay. The cocoa nibs are locally sourced here. There's a fantastic. I'm gonna shill real quick for you. There's a place called Tejas Barbecue out toward Tomball. Okay. Tejas Chocolate Craftery. He started off as he made chocolate beans, cocoa nibs. That's all he did. He just happened to be an award-winning pitmaster as well. Opened up a side little barbecue business. He's now Texas Monthly Top 50 barbecue. In addition to roasting his own cocoa nibs. It's the weirdest thing. Nicest guy in the world, but we use his nibs exclusively in this batch. This is our coffee variant of it. So what we did is we brew it, and this is also then dosed with locally sourced roasted coffee beans from a company called Javapura. So if you like coffee, if you like stouts, it's a good sweet. It is a milk stout. Some fun flavors to it. It's not a typical just stout. It's got some fun flavors to it. And we're gonna try it here in a little bit. But
well, let's give it a shot.
Let's do it right now. In the meantime, Russ, tell me about your favorite beer.
I'm supposed to ask the question.
I know it, but hey, while I'm pouring.
I am a big fan of, and people that watch Beer to Whiskey with some regularity know this, but I'm a big fan of Ballast Point Victory at Sea. Yes, good choice. I absolutely love that. Another one of my big favorites is Belching Beaver Peanut Butter Milk Stout.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Where are these guys out of?
They're out of San Diego as well. Okay. Both in Ballast Point. But those are kind of my two
go-tos.
Yeah.
I love it.
But it's amazing since I've been doing this. Boy, I've run across some good stuff.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and go back to your story about finding these little gems. And I don't want to say holes in the wall because that connotates dirty. Yeah. But one of the best breweries I've ever been to, and this was 4 or 5 years ago, Fort Collins. Obviously Fort Collins, you've got, obviously Fat Tire, New Belgium, Avery, I think it's Fort Collins. We're downtown Fort Collins, and little brewery in downtown called Equinox. Little brewery. I mean, maybe half the size. Not that we're big, but half the size. 12 beers on tap. I couldn't decide which of the 12 was the best. They were all that good. But it's just those little gems you find. Yeah. If you look hard enough, you're going to find people that make a lot of good beer. Yep. But, all right. Cheers. Coffee stout on the nose. Obviously, you should be hopefully getting hit by notes of coffee. Yeah. You search hard enough, you're going to find some cinnamon in there. The ancho chilies, there shouldn't be any heat. It'll be a little more subtle chili notes onto it. And the chocolate will come in on the back tongue. But it's a smoother beer, clocks at 9.5%. Again, with the lactose in there, it gives a lot of body, some richness. We call it a dessert beer. This is not one that you probably want to sit there and chug 6, 7.
Right. No.
Unless you really want to.
Yeah. Well, it's...
Treating you okay?
I really like that, and I'm not. When you started talking about the chili peppers, it made me a little nervous because I'm not big on that in beer.
And like hot beers.
Yeah.
I'm not my personal favorite.
But
it's a note. It's a very subtle note.
It's a very subtle thing.
Yep. But no, this is one that we canned this in November. We have two seasonal stouts in March. I don't know if cameras are pointing this way, but you can see the barrels behind us.
Right.
That is our anniversary beer. That's a Russian Imperial Stout that we age in locally sourced barrels. So that's released in March. This is released in November. So we do two seasonals. It's always hot, so you just got to cut your losses. If you go through the winter. just roll with it. But no, I think again, going to testament to the collective palates that are changing. Folks will drink the stout in the summertime.
Yeah.
They may not drink 3 of them, I'm sure, but they'll have a stout.
Yeah. Well, I do.
Yeah. Oh,
but I'm
you and I might be different creatures.
Yeah, I may be. I may be the exception to the rule.
Right.
But this is really tasty.
Thank you. So this is again limited release. If you're in Houston, we have a brew pub license here in Houston, which does allow us to sell to go. I do have a little bit of limited quantity left, but before you leave, make sure I send you home with some of that.
All right, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly appreciate you inviting us in, Jeff.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
This has been fun, and I've learned a lot about 11 Below.
Yes, sir.
And until next time.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.